So stations are not just stations, they're also the welcome mat to most of our towns and cities. And I think sometimes we can lose sight of that and the important role that they play. And sometimes this is even from an international perspective, talk about some of the bigger stations, like Manchester Piccadilly, for example. Sometimes it's the first impression that an international visitor might have of the city, and obviously it's their lasting memory as they leave. So getting it right is really important. And it's not just about the train, it's also about that sense of arrival and what's on offer at the station.
Stations offer massive potential for our towns and cities. They tend to be right in the heart of our cities. They're the main gateway into our local places. So you've got loads of people coming through them, going to shops and restaurants there. And so if you get that station design right, it can have a massively catalytic impact on the whole of the area around it. And I think it's really interesting to see how stations have evolved over recent decades. They used to be quite often no-go areas, and now they really are starting to drive for a generation.
So for me, one of the big things is making sure that you have multimodal connectivity. It's about that last mile. So how do people actually get from the train station to where they actually want to go? So for us, it's about providing things such as active travel, making sure you have provisions such as bikes, or you have good signage, making sure that people actually do know where they're going.
From the discussion upstairs, which was fascinating, you can see there are so many parties involved in the regeneration of a railway station, both in Network Rail as the operator, the railway companies, all of the various stakeholders, and it needs everyone to work together in partnership.
I think the most important thing to get right about the project and to deliver the optimum potential for a project has got to be set in the brief. You need to know where you want to be, and it's not a short-term vision, it's having the vision as actually where do I want the project to get to in its final state, to allow you to then sort of almost take steps backwards to understand how you get from your starting point to your final vision. It's too easy just to meander through a project trying to get somewhere without actually knowing exactly where you want to get to.
The classic is the ring roads that were built in front of stations. Sheffield, Nottingham, it might not be the ring road, but it's got a major road right in front of the station, and that was really common. And that just hampered any idea, instead of a station square, there was a ring road. In what has really worked, and I think here, St Pancras has really worked, and I draw a distinction between that and King's Cross. St Pancras has really worked. It's got a ground floor. Here, take note Manchester, because it's got a ground floor that was unused and that is now fully accessible, and people wander through it. The trains are up in the air and it's clear underneath, and people who are travelling from King's Cross use St Pancras as a place to be and enjoy. And I think Piccadilly certainly has that potential.
So I think one of the key things is being clear from the outset what you're trying to achieve, because quite often these projects get derailed when people get, well, I want that and I want that, I want that. So it's from the outset being clear what are the must-have things that need to be delivered versus what are just the nice-to-have things, and that all the key stakeholders agree what that vision is and what is actually trying to be done, and that feeds into the master plan. And you all then work to that instead of people keep chopping and changing about what actually they want to do. Then, as we've seen with HS2, nothing happens.
The example of Salford Central Station is very good for to use for this one, whereas it's been a challenging area. And whilst the Central Station, the Salford Central Station development is actually coming along, and it will take a lot longer, we've developed the area around it, and there's a huge connectivity demand, and usability in the station has actually increased, which is actually demonstrated the case for investment even more stronger than it was before. So I think that's a superb example for Salford. Whilst the station itself is not as developed as great as we want to be, the area around it is developed and making the case for connectivity even further stronger.
My takeaway is we've got some really great people in Manchester who understand the complexities of these types of projects. When we talked about what good master planning means, we actually got some really fresh perspectives and understanding of the importance of governance, politics, funding. So what I took away from that is optimism for effective delivery in the Manchester area, because the city has so much potential.